Okay, good morning. Talking to you here from sunny Connecticut, and I just want to talk about Quiklook Setup. We're going to get into the software. We're going to read through a procedure and just show you what buttons you need to press. This should give you a good understanding if you look at the presentation or look at a Quiklook, user's manual. This will help you get through that. Okay, give you a visualization. Okay, so first I'm just going to bring up a procedure. This particular procedure is the North Anna procedure. I'm going to specifically go right to attachment 2 with their computer setup and connection. Now, granted, most sites may or may not have this level of detail, but they'll always have some form of this, how they want their data collected on what channel and what to monitor on which channel. And I'm just going to breeze through this real quick. And this step 1 just shows you, from the configuration menu, what you're going to need to do. Verify probe setups. Make sure you know what probes you're going to use and where. You're going to use one for motor current, and you're going to use 4 others for either lights or coil currents. Next, you're going to be selecting channels. Here, specifically at North Anna, this is the way they want their channels. Again, so don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just understand what that site wants you to do, where you are, and set it up that way. And call it what they call it. Okay, next, you're going to be selecting your channels for being used for, in this case, for your strain channels, which would be 2, 3, and 8. 2 and 3 would be, for your strain. However, whatever you're using for a strain, whether you're using a VTC, a C-clamp, a TTC, or a strain gauge, SPMD will be usually in channel 8. If you're using any pressure transducers for a dynamic test, the instructions here of what to put the range in. Next, when you get to the computer screen, you're going to be asked what kind of test it is, any comments, and in this case, for comment, they want the work order number, what instruments you're using, and what the cal due date is. Another comment is a description of the work done before the test. If you're testing it because you adjusted limits, or the stem was lubed, or the actuator was rebuilt, put that in there. Enter test type, stroke direction, whether it's partial, full, or a backseat stroke. If you if you adjusted limits, you check the box. If you adjusted the torque switch, you check the box. If you did not adjust it, you leave the box blank. Excuse me. Torque switch settings, as found or as left, and max seconds you don't need to change. Defining the graph. This is in the acquisition trigger mode. And again, I'm just going to go through real quick. Set your point trigger at 0.2. Any current above 0.2 will cause the system to start collecting data. And that's pretty much it. After that, if you're using a C-clamp, you're going to have to put in your sensitivity, and you're going to get this from MOB Engineering. Okay. So now, next in this procedure is again, what your channels are if you're going to use MVM, but in this case we're just going to use a straight regular test. So the first thing I'm going to do is remote desktop. Double click on remote desktop, put in your applicable Quiklook serial number, which is right on the QuickBook box itself. Click connect. In this case, the default is, it may be different at your station, but the username is Quiklook, the password is QLII for Quiklook 2. You hit OK, and it goes in and connects to it. All right. In this case, you can configure. I've already configured something, channels 1 through 8, and this is what I put in for test. You put in whatever is applicable at your plant. But I'm just going to show you a little bit about channel data. You can see here you got 1 through 8 that are in white, and the various others are in are grayed out. And I'll show you how you do that. So channel, again, this is another way of looking at it. You're looking at that same screen, but channels 1, or you can select it like that, or you can just click next. Go back to channel 1, primary. This is current. Channel 2 is thrust, channel 3 is torque, channel 4 is CST, open, close, and bypass. Again, it's not exactly labeled like North and right now, but you can do that. Okay. Now to turn the channel off, to gray it out, you're going to go to inactive. Now let me pull this to the side, and you can see how if I go to select the next channel, channel 1 is grayed out. So to make it acquire data on that channel, you got to hit primary. So if you're not getting data on a channel, go back and look at the screen. Okay. So we're selected. We've put all the ranges in from all the tables in the procedure, whether it's 4-wire strain gauge or differential, what the units are, what this range is, the sensitivity is the span number. For torque and thrust, you're going to have a span number, right? So you're going to put that number in here. Now return tells me how many channels are active. Okay, I'm going to mash test. Okay, we're at our acquisition screen right now, and you can see define graph. That'll allow you to put something in current and thrust here. You can select the channels you want to select. We're going to keep it current and thrust. What I like to do is make this more realistic. You're not going to get 250 amps and negative 250 amps on this one particular one. So what I would do is change that and define graph, choose left. It's on current, and say you got a 5 amp motor, full load amps. So I would change this to 15 amps, and then similarly I'd change the bottom one to negative 15 amps. And select, and you can see it change that. So it'll get, actually you'll be able to see a trace on there better. Again, with thrust, it's 15,000. If you're working on something that's got 45,000 pounds of target thrust, we'll then change this number. So in this case, we'll go to define graph, right, and say we'll go to change the negative to say 50,000. Okay, so it's got 15,000 in positive direction and 50,000 in the negative. It's still going to collect the data. This is just so it's viewed on the screen, so we don't really need to worry about that. Next thing is trigger mode. It defaults to disable, so you want to enable that, and you're going to set your trigger levels. Remember, the procedure said to 0.2 amps in here, and the pre-test trigger is 2 and post is 2. What that does is it automatically adds 2 seconds before and after, so it's uniform, so you can overlay things properly. And last but not least is you just got to mash the arm. Once you get the arm button, you're going to see it's going to say wait, and it's waiting. And when you start to take your test, the boxes are going to turn yellow, and it's going to say armed or triggered, excuse me. And then at the end, you're going to have to stop it. And we saw that here at the enable. It's a manual end, so you're going to have to hit stop. Okay, and there'll be a button that comes up stop. Right up here, you can just hit stop.